Senator Al Franken reluctantly announces he is resigning from Congress.
It comes after a growing number of sexual misconduct allegations against him.
In the coming weeks, I will be resigning as a member of the United States Senate.
Franken's announcement came a day after dozens of his Democratic colleagues called for his resignation. The total number of accusers rose to 8 this week after 2 more women came forward saying Franken sexually harassed them. Franken says all women deserve to be heard, but asserts that some accusations against him are untrue. As May Murphy reports.
It was a speech that began with defiant denials.
Some of the allegations against me are simply not true. Others I remember very differently.
And featured a scathing shot at President Trump and Alabama Senate candidate Roy Moore.
I, of all people, am aware that there is some irony in the fact that I am leaving while a man who has bragged on tape about his history of sexual assault sits in the Oval Office, and a man who has repeatedly preyed on young girls campaigns for the Senate with the full support of his party.
Senator Franken reflected on a political career that, as he said, began later in life.
Serving in the United States Senate has been the great honor of my life. I know in my heart that nothing I have done as a senator, nothing, has brought this honor on this institution.
He expressed certainty that a Senate Ethics Committee investigation would have cleared him, but that he had to step down.
But this decision is not about me. It's about the people of Minnesota. And it's become clear that I can't both pursue the Ethics Committee process and at the same time remain an effective senator for them.
And he was wistful about a Senate career cut short that he remains deeply proud of.
What I want you to know is that even today, even on the worst day of my political life, I feel like it's all been worth it.
As May Murphy, WCCO 4 News.
Franken did not specify the exact date that he plans to resign, only that he will do it in the coming weeks.
Following Senator Franken's speech, fellow lawmakers and Minnesotans reacted to the news.
I don't know if the accusations against him are as bad as other ones that have surfaced, but I mean, I was just talking to my roommate about it, and I think that what he's doing sets an example and could be a standard in the future for other people who are accused of sexual assault.
While it's a big mistake that he's made, it's also a lesson in terms of how do you still, regardless of what the consequences are, make sure that you're doing the right thing.
Women and feminists in particular have lost a champion of women's rights in the Senate, but gained a leader in terms of the movement towards cultural change by his.
He told me that in the end, after talking to his family, that he'd made this decision and that he was going to explain that he felt that it was just going to be very difficult for him to do his job representing Minnesota.
Governor Mark Dayton said he extended his deepest regrets to the women who would have to endure their unwanted experiences with Senator Franken. As a personal friend, my heart also goes out to Al and his family during this difficult time. Now, the next step is for Dayton to select someone to fill Franken's seat. He says he expects to announce his decision in the coming days, but the most mentioned name so far has been Lieutenant Governor Tina Smith. That person, who Franken alluded to would likely be a woman, will serve until a special election is held in November of 2018. The winner of the special election will serve out the last 2 years of Franken's term until 2020. So here's what the 2018 election will look like. Senate election replace Franken, obviously. Senator Amy Klobuchar is also up for re-election, and there is a governor's race also. Stay with WCCO for continuing coverage of Senator Al Franken's resignation.
2 new quickly moving wildfires have sprung up in Southern California, in addition to the several that have already been burning for most of the week. Nearly 150,000 acres have burned, hundreds of homes have been destroyed, and thousands more are at risk. One of the new fires that has started is in San Diego County, dubbed the Lilac Fire. The fire sent hundreds of thoroughbred horses running for their lives. Volunteers tried to save as many as they could, but several of those horses were killed. Firefighters could face difficult wind conditions into next week across Southern California. And as air quality becomes more of an issue, hundreds more schools will have been ordered closed today.
An Anoka County deputy is recovering from minor injuries after a deer hit his squad. The crash was actually a secondary collision. It happened in East Bethel early yesterday morning. You can see from the dash cam video there, the deer ricochets off the oncoming car and then hit the deputy's car. That deputy had glass fragments in his eyes but is expected to be okay. The deer, though, got up and actually ran away. The animal hasn't been spotted since.
That's terrifying.
I know.
Didn't even hit their car, hit the other one in bounds.
Crazy, but glad he's going to be okay. It
Absolutely.
sounds like. Yeah.
At one